Ticketmaster now gave select fans another opportunity to purchase tickets to the Taylor Swift Eras Stadium Tour. So first, can you give us a little background on the fiasco that happened in November?
Yeah, there was yet another in the long line of Ticketmaster disasters where they opened up the pre-sales for a show, which they knew was going to be in high demand. Taylor Swift hasn't toured big in many years, and it crashed the site. It was just, you can blame it on the ticket hoarders and the resellers and all of that, but you have to put it all on Ticketmaster. In the end, they're controlling the process, and they kind of would have been able to see this coming. Anybody could have seen this coming. So, they reacted, I wouldn't say quickly, but they reacted, and they reacted in the right way, which was to give those people who did, the true Taylor Swift fans, the Swiftie army, if you will, the people who pre-registered, they're going to get another shot. We'll see how the technology works this time, but it was the right reaction. I don't know if it really is going to sway the public opinion towards Ticketmaster back to the positive. I think that ship sailed many years ago. The thing is, it's kind of a monopoly in terms of ticket selling, and does it really matter?
Good luck to the Swifties, for hopefully that they do get tickets here. But does this make up for it at all? Is this part of a good faith campaign from Ticketmaster? What is the origin story here of Ticketmaster and the public's feud?
Yeah, well, again, it goes, and we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, it goes back to Ticketmaster's original business plan, which was a smart one, and the arenas and the stadiums, they willingly jumped into business with Ticketmaster because they didn't have, you used to have to go to a box office and buy tickets, and then Ticketmaster comes and says, we'll do this for you. You can sell them nationwide. We'll set up your ticket kiosks and everything. And it was a headache that the arenas and stadiums and venues didn't have to deal with. So it was a great idea, but so many of them jumped on that they created a monopoly that then they were all trapped with. Ticketmaster certainly didn't make that monopoly presence any better because of the fees that it charged. You buy a ticket for $60 or $80 and spend $15 in fees. It's nuts. And then $15 for each ticket. Well, 4 tickets, you're spending $60 in fees, but you're processing the same thing. So most people don't get it. They just feel gouged, but there's nothing that they can do about it. So that's the history of the Ticketmaster relationship with the public. I don't think that's ever going to change. It's just that's been the business practice. It's registered in the public's mind. This basically says, well, here's a company that we don't like it, but they're trying to be a good actor. And in the end, if a Taylor Swift fan gets a ticket, then that's all that matters. They're not going to like Ticketmaster. It's not going to matter. They're getting to see Taylor Swift. That's what matters.
Exactly. And last month, 2.4 million tickets were sold for this tour. So off the top of your head, in recent memory, is this the biggest stadium tour in recent history?
No, it's big. In recent years, pandemic years, even pre-pandemic years, a big tour outside of, I think it was Ed Sheeran did something like 6 or 7. It was double, triple what Taylor Swift is doing here. Taylor Swift's biggest tour, I think, was in 2015, did almost 3 million. So she's likely to top that. But there have been tours out there. I mean, you see U2 shows up all the time. Rolling Stones show up all the time. You'll see Pink Floyd. And, some of these shows have played to 5 million, 6 million, 7 million people, some of them. I think the Ed Sheeran tour was 7 million people. So, at 2.8, that doesn't even put Taylor Swift's biggest tour to date in the top 10 of all-time tours. But tour sizes have actually, they're smaller in recent years than they have been in the early 2000s and the 90s. So, there's big demand for this. That was seen, and there's pent-up demand because she hasn't toured in 7 years. And she's hot right now. Like, she's just putting out hit after hit. So this will almost certainly go over 3 million people seeing this show. It certainly wouldn't surprise me if it hits 5, but we really have to see what the mood of the world is in 2023 in terms of the pandemic and going to live events and all that sort of thing. The world has shifted, and that maybe why the numbers are dropping. I'm not really sure, but they're definitely smaller than they used to be.
I do want to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried because he somehow is involved in Taylor Swift headlines this week. So FTX made headlines with Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. Can you explain?
Yeah, she certainly dodged a bullet on that one. It was a big money offer. as reported, $100 million or so. That's the size of the naming rights deal that FTX signed with the arena in Miami. That was over 20 years or 19 years, something like that. This is for a 1 year, perhaps 18-month tour. So massive, massive money, which, that's gravy on top of gravy. I don't know what Taylor Swift was going to pay pre-production to prepare for her tour and then to go on the road, but $100 million would certainly cover the costs of that. And then you've got the ticket sales and on all of that on top of it. And these aren't cheap tickets, and she's selling out every arena, every stadium. So, it was a lot of money, a lot of profit, not just money, it was to walk away from. Don't know why she did. Wise that she did, because there have been some reports that the athletes that FTX has paid sponsorship money to the arena, that these folks might actually need to pay that money back into an escrow fund because so many investors are at loss here. And so there's this pool of money. It happened in the Madoff situation, where there's the people who didn't lose their money had to pay back in, so that everyone sort of lost. The people who lost everything got a little bit back, but the people who made some didn't make as much. That hasn't actually been written down yet in the Sam Bankman-Fried situation. It's possible. That would mean that folks like Tom Brady would possibly have to give back the endorsement money that they took. So it's a thicket, and Taylor Swift, whether she saw this coming or not, who knows? But she definitely dodged that bullet.
Oh, definitely. And let's say, I know this didn't happen, but what do you think would have happened if the deal went through?
A good question. That would have come down to very sort of in-depth and careful negotiations with her team and them. Most certainly there would have been an FTX connection to any marketing around the tour. There might have been something printed on the ticket. Most likely would have been some sort of NFT that was attached to the ticket. There would have been branding at the show. There's not really any paraphernalia that FTX could sell, but there would have been FTX branding. It might have been labeled, it's called the Era Tour, but it could have been called Taylor Swift's FTX Era Tour. God knows what they would have gotten. That would have been up to Taylor Swift's team to determine how much they wanted to give up to sell the exposure of her and her fans. So we don't know, but you would have seen FTX all over the place.
There was reportedly, like you said, an NFT ticketing arrangement. Do you think in the future NFT tickets will be more mainstream in these types of events?
Yeah, it's hard to say with all the crashes that are happening around us. NFTs, they crashed long before crypto crashed. The size of the NFT market in 2021 was enormous. I want to say something like $200 billion, up from, $2 billion the year before. I don't know what it's down to now, but it's well off of the peak. And so, the NFT thing, crypto is an asset, some people say. It's a goose hunt for others. NFTs, I think, were always sort of looked upon askance by many. And so they're not going to disappear. They're certainly not going to hit the mainstream, at least not in the next 5 years.